The Harama, Halala, Talaq. I'm divorced, she took the other half is funny. Triple Talaq is not. Allama Iqbal, the great philosopher and poet of the East, had this to say, translation by Dr. Shabir Ahmed, Al Beacon Forum. My salutes to the Sufi and Mullah for telling me the message of Allah, but their explanation leave dumbfounded. Allah and Jibreel and Mustafa. The Qur'anic 3 divorces. The reality of the Qur'anic divorce procedure and the obscenity of the mulla-god rulings cannot be more different. Read.
The whole period of divorce, that is 3 menstruations, 3 months, or until delivery, can be taken back twice. In a given couple's lifetime, a divorce is permissible twice, then the divorced woman must be retained in honor or released in kindness. She shall be allowed to live in the same home amicably, or leave it amicably, at or after divorce. It is not lawful for you to take back anything of what you have ever given to her. However, if both of you fear that you might in waves of emotion transgress the bounds set by God, there shall be no blame on either of you for what the wife willingly gives back. Whatever she chooses, these are the limits set by God, transgress them not. Whoever transgresses the bounds set by God, such are the wrongdoers. If a man divorces his wife on a 3rd different time during their marital life, it shall be unlawful for him to remarry her. It may so happen that the woman marries another man, and those two do not get along, and he divorces her. In that case, there is nothing wrong if both the previous couple decide to come together again, if they consider that they will be able to observe the limits set by God. These limits have been made clear for people who use their knowledge.
Prior to a Qur'anic divorce, the couple must have had members of their families or the official appointees to mediate on their behalf for reconciliation, or as a last resort, a separation.
Families and communities must adopt a proactive approach regarding a husband and a wife in discord. If you fear a breach between the two of them, husband and wife, appoint 2 arbiters, one from his family and one from her family. If they decide to reconcile, God will help them get together. Surely, God is knower, aware.
Once a divorce is officially registered, the couple may, after a period of separation, decide to remarry, and this can be done for up to 3 bouts of marriage. Upon this last and probably rare situation, since most couples after 1, more so after 2 divorces, would not remarry, but now on the 3rd occasion a strict stipulation is given preventing them from making a mockery of the institute of marriage, whereby the woman cannot marry her former husband but must go into a genuine one with another. There is more detail in this, but I hope you understand that divorce has as much officiality attached to it as the marriage procedure. The following is the 3 divorce in 1 procedure of Bukharianism. The talaq can be given by saying clear words such as I divorce you, or it can also be pronounced with vague words such as I am no longer in a relationship with you. The talaq given in clear words is called talaq raji, while given in vague words is called talaq bane. If a husband wants to divorce his wife, he can simply say I give you divorce once. He doesn't have to say it 3 times, because if he does, it will result in 3 talaqs. A couple must take the halalah option if 3 talaqs have already occurred. What these devoid of hikmah, no wisdom, jahil, ignorant, self-appointed, self-opinionated, bid'ah innovators, corrupters of the Quran and Deen Islam Allah, mulla-god thought control scholars are saying is all a man has to say is I divorce you, and he and his wife are divorced. Let's break this down. When a couple marry, they must bring witnesses and an official to legally recognize and register this in the country they reside. They say that to divorce, the man can just say I divorce you, and that is that. No registering the divorce, no lawyers, so the marriage bureau is not informed and they are still legally married according to their records. No, if you have to register divorce with them to make it official, then until this happens, they are still legally married. The idea that a verbal declaration of divorce means they are officially divorced is as ridiculous as a man saying to a woman he likes, I marry you, and they become legally married without all the official marriage procedures or her permission. What about a man who says that he is going to kill someone whilst in a fit of rage? At the time he may well have meant what he said, but later would be embarrassed by his outburst. Would a policeman arrest and charge him with murder and under Islamic law execute him even though no one was dead? The most he would be charged with is threatening behaviour or some such minor offence. Why then is a woman forced to prostitute herself to another man before she can remarry her former big-mouthed, small-brained husband? The lovely word halala is used for this, but from the Quran as it explains itself, it has the correct term that should be used, Harama. The Bukharian Quran rejectors have taken the long, official and regulated multiple divorce procedure, turned it into a sleaze, dirty, once declaration divorce, and then the woman is made to marry and sleep with another man in a one-night sex stand, which must be consummated before she can get divorced from this mullah-imposed gigolo, payment of optional, and remarry her former beloved husband. A true case had a man ask his best friend to halala his wife. He married her but could not go through with it, and she found him to be much more caring and understanding than her Harama in crime former husband, so she stayed happily married with the friend and told the former idiot which cliff to jump off. Justice. India has made it illegal for men to pronounce Talaq thrice, which they saw as a human rights issue for women who have to bear the punishment of this outrageous abuse of the Quran imposed by the sinning mullahs, the munkar-e-Quran, the rejectors of the Quran. Yes, it has taken a secular but majority Hindu country to return the Quranic rights to Muslim women, and they were opposed decaying tooth and diseased nail by the Imams, scholars by the letters spelling this word only, as they are far from being this. Bearing the sin of another. Why does a woman have to bear the fornicating punishment for the ignorant ranting of her husband? This is more evident when the Quran is totally ignored when it says that no one bears the burdens of another. You make a mistake and someone else pays the price. Only in mullah land. Only in mulla-jahil land.
Say, shall I seek anyone other than God as a Lord when He is the sustainer of all things? No self benefits but from its own works, and none bears the load of another. Then unto your Lord is your return, and He will make you understand wherein you differ.
The late, great Sheikh Ahmed Deedat gave the best response to this halala debacle in one of his lectures. A man shouted from the audience that he had spoken to an alim, knowledgeable person, what a joke, who said that halala was legitimate. Sheikh Deedat responded that he should have brought that alim to the hall they were in, and he would educate this man about the full Quranic divorce procedure that has various processes and takes months to bring to completion. Based on the knowledge he had acquired from the above verses, he continued, why should the woman suffer for her husband's outburst? Sheikh Deedat said the husband should be punished by sleeping with another man and be sodomized. A bit harsh, you may say, but I would have gone further and had the Imam sodomized by the husband. Keeping one's oaths. Some scholars may intercede here and say that a man is bound under Islamic law to keep his word, and if he intended to divorce his wife by saying, I divorce you 3 times, then he must abide by this. Firstly, if he wants a divorce, then he can do so, but he has to go through the full process and time period, as stated above. Secondly, if he does intend to divorce, it is only in Christianity that 3 is equal to 1, Trinity. So saying you want to divorce can only be classified as one divorce if said at one time, even though he says it 3 times, 300 times or 3,000 times. If he says Kabul, I agree to marrying a woman during a marriage ceremony 3 times in front of witnesses, he is not marrying her 3 times. If he repeats it during the 4-month waiting period, then he is still going through the first divorce, so this still only makes it 1 divorce. Thirdly, it is these scholars that have made the 3 divorce ruling, and it does not make it right even if they believe it. Now let us look at what happens according to the Quran when we say something. Are we bound by what we say, or are there ways out that Allah has given us? Truth revealed.
Let not your senseless oaths in the name of God deter you from doing good to others, from being mindful of the divine laws, and from making peace between people. God is hearer, knower. God will not take you to task for your senseless swearing. He holds you responsible for your intentional doings. God is forgiving, clement. Therefore, a marriage will not be dissolved for senseless utterances of the husband or the wife.
Swearing by the name of Allah is an oath, your promise, vow, your word or intention to do something. Making an oath in the name of Allah should be one of the most important ways we have to make us keep our word. Saying divorce to your wife is such an oath, utterance, your word. The above verses of the Quran are very clear that if we are thoughtless in making an oath, even by the name of Allah, then Allah will not hold us to our word. Many of us say things in anger which we do not mean, and this is understood by Allah. If it is our intention to say something even in anger, then when we cool down we can still say that we meant what we said. If a man says in anger he wants to divorce, then he can still proceed with the divorce through the appropriate authorities to get one. If he realizes a mistake, then he is not obliged by Allah to go through with it, so no one has the right to say otherwise. If their false teachings go against the Quran, then we must reject their man-made words. If a mullah makes up something that is contradictory and against the Quran on this issue, he should be cautioned as to the consequences of his actions in trying to deceive the righteous believers, of which he is surely not one. Wives are mothers, thus haram for husband. The not carrying through with the absurdity of what one says is given another Quranic verse to teach us how to behave once we have embarrassed ourselves and it does not allow us to go on with it.
God has heard her who pleads with you, O Messenger, concerning her husband, and complains to God. And God has heard your mutual dialogue. God is hearer, seer, those of you who estrange their wives by declaring to them, you are unlawful to me as my mother. They, by no means, become their mothers. Their mothers are only those who gave birth to them, and so they only utter what is immoral and false. God is absolver of faults, forgiving. The procedure of divorce has been clearly given in 228 to 230, for 3, for 19, for 35, for 128, 33 4, 65 1 to 2, zir, extra, redundant, sundry, putting away, senseless word or action. Sihar, addressing the wife as mother and thinking that it nullifies the wedlock. Implicitly this encompasses similar meaningless utterances under any circumstances. So, those of you who have estranged their wives in this manner but then wish to go back on the words they uttered, they should free a human being from bondage before the couple may have intimate relations with each other. This you are admonished to perform. God is aware of all you do. Freeing from bondage includes relieving someone from any kind of oppression and from a crushing burden of debt.
Is it clear now? Saying zihar or the infamous 3 divorces at once to your wife does not bring the end of a marriage. You are speaking in ignorance and this is not binding upon you or your wife. She is not an object to be discarded when you are to blame for a loose tongue. In order to stop you from uttering nonsense again and again, there is the way ordained by Allah to take back your words by doing nothing, or fasting, or feeding poor people. There is no having to sell your wife to another man for a one-night stand in order to get her back, or live the rest of your lives apart because of a few stupid words spoken in anger or ignorance. This is character building, doing something to make you think before you open your mouth. It is about changing, molding, moving in the right direction, which our Creator and Sustainer has shown us with the clear Quran, and we will be humbled to dust for ignoring it. My salutes to the Quran and my wisdom for telling me the message of Allah. For its explanation leave me in awe of Allah and Jibreel and Mustafa. Apologies to Ulama Iqbal. Please, 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 brothers and sisters in humanity, stop listening to and blindly following the devoid of wisdom, deaf, dumb and blind mulla-gods and their ancestral age of continuing ignorance beliefs.
And the messenger will say, O my Lord, these are my people who had abandoned this Quran as something to be neglected.
The Quran Unchained.